My first project, soon.
Soon, first project. I like to hear the sound of that.
Yeah.
And welcome to A1 Gaming, episode 25. I am your host, Perry Morton, and today, or tonight, where we're located at, we have Carly and Brandon Robinson. They're actually Twitch streaming, so it's going to be a little fun. So, how y'all doing tonight?
I'm good.
Doing awesome. Thanks for having us.
Oh, hell yeah. You guys are the stars, not me. I'm just a podcast. We're just having fun, but you know.
I love podcasts.
Love podcasts.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, what this show is about video games and how they might have influenced your life in some way. Now, granted, how old are you two?
2.
Oh, I'm 28.
Yeah, I'm
28.
Yeah, I'm 30.
You guys are actually older than me, so it's like our generation pretty much starts to like old mind of video games. In your sense, has influenced you.
Do you want to start?
You should start.
I should start. Okay. Well, yeah, my life has been pretty influenced by games. So I grew up in Redmond, Washington, and that's where Microsoft and Nintendo of America HQ, they both are. So I was surrounded by that tech at a very young age and really did grow up with it. And it was cool because when I was in high school and all that, I knew that I wanted to work in games in some capacity. And initially I thought that I wanted to get into animation because I'd always been, I don't know, everyone would say like, you're so talented. I would draw, I would doodle a lot, cartoons mostly. So I thought I wanted to get into game art. And out of high school, I went into DigiPen, which is a private school for people who are trying to get on the fast track to work in the video game industry. So I started there. I did a couple of years. It wasn't for me. It was a really rigorous program. And fresh out of high school, I wasn't really in the right mindset to kind of handle that workload. So I withdrew from that. And not long after that, I was able to get my foot in the door at Nintendo of America as a contract tester in the lot check department. So I started working in QA, and I've kind of since then like left not QA, but sorry, I've left working in games, and I worked at a couple of companies where I worked on like mobile apps and websites and that kind of stuff. But when we came back to the Bay Area, I knew it was my opportunity to get back into games. And I actually just kind of fast forwarded through my whole Twitch portion, which is another like big portion of how video games have influenced me. But I'll go back to that in just a moment. But yeah, I'm working in QA again in the Bay Area. And if we do go into that a little bit more, then like probably disclaimer needs to be dropped on all that.
Oh yeah, I got you.
But yeah, I think like you should probably talk a little bit about this because Brandon's in the military, and because of his career, we've moved. And that's kind of what got me going as a Twitch streamer. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I should just like let Brandon talk for a little bit.
Okay.
And I can be like,
what you got for me, bro?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have exciting stories about working at Nintendo or working at Capcom or anything like that. But yeah, I guess the way that we started out streaming video games on Twitch was kind of as a hobby about 4 years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
In San Diego. I had just gotten back from deployment in the Middle East, and we got San Diego as our next location that we were going to transfer to. And we were there for a little while, and Carly was at a really weird job that she didn't really like that much. And we kind of wanted to find like an escape. and I was playing Hearthstone at the time, and it was like in beta or alpha or whatever it was. And I wasn't good at the game. I was terrible at it. And my buddy, he was like, hey, if you want to get better, you should check out this person on Twitch. And I was like, what's a Twitch? Like, what's that? So he basically like indoctrinated me into the Twitch community, into the Twitch world through Hearthstone so that I could learn how to be better at the game. And then through that platform, I showed Carly, I was like, oh, check this out. There's people that play all sorts of games. Like, and then she was like, you mean we could do this? And I was like, well, I guess we could. And then from there, we kind of, we bought the computer parts that we needed. We built our own computer. That was the first time I built my own computer, which ended up turning into a hobby itself. I've built a bunch of like custom gaming computers since then for myself and other people. So it's an expensive hobby, but and then from there, the channel, no, not our channel. We initially had a channel that we ran together called Carly and Brandon Let's Play, and that one did all right, but I ended up getting deployed for a C school for about a month. And while I was gone on that month, we figured, okay, here, let's do an experiment. Let's have Carly start her own channel with just Carly, and it'll just all be Carly branding, Carly this, Carly that, and you can play Carly games. And I think in the first week that she had the channel, she had twice as many followers that we had on our other channel. So I was like, yeah, so you should probably just keep going with this. So after that, we ended up volunteering for a position in Alaska because San Diego wasn't working out too well. And she was streaming full time after that. So because there's not a lot of opportunities for software developers and game developers in Alaska, so streaming was a way for her to keep herself occupied, stay creative, and make a little bit of extra money. So yeah. But to go back to the original question, I guess, like, as far as how video games have influenced Brandon, I mean, like, you've always had an interest in them. Yeah. And that's always been something that we had in common. And I think that really did, like, strengthen our relationship. Yeah. Because there are a lot of instances where there are games where I know that I don't have the skill level or the patience to acquire the skill level to play, but like Brandon can just pick them up. And like, that's another thing that like makes Twitch so interesting, is because you can watch people who like maybe they have access to games that you don't have the equipment for, or like you don't have the skill level for, and you can watch someone play that. So I feel like that's something that has influenced us, as well as, like Brandon mentioned, it has brought on new hobbies like streaming for me and building gaming PCs for him. And I think it's awesome to meet new people too. Like, that's a huge part of it too. So it's cool to meet people with common interests.
Yeah, because it's like getting into this industry, it feels like everyone has to be friendly. And like, I'm getting into it now. I'm thinking about Twitch streaming myself. It's just like, got to find better lighting and stuff like that. But you guys have come a long ways. What advice would you give to new streamers?
That's actually a good question. Like Brandon mentioned, there was a learning curve for us as well. We started out streaming. We had a Mac laptop. We had like bare bones stuff. We happened to have this microphone just because Brandon's musically inclined, and he happened to have like a good microphone already for recording music. So we already had a good microphone. We needed to do the research for like, what webcam should we get? Oh, capture cards, blah, blah, blah. So there's a number of things that go into it. Getting the right hardware is important. It's huge, yeah. If you're not on a Mac, then you're already at an advantage because you can kind of just upgrade your PC to get what you need. But that's definitely more his area as far as like doing the broadcast and that kind of thing. Like, that's definitely more something that I can weigh in on. And I think that the things that I learned when I was starting up my solo channel was that when you're first starting out, it's a really good idea to, and I mean, like, even when you're not just starting out, it's a really good idea to pick a game that you won't get tired of quickly. Because initially when you're starting out, you're finding your flow and how you want to conduct your stream. And you want to make sure that you are playing something that you will get enjoyment out of and that you could build an audience around. You don't want to get like bored. You don't want to get burnt out right off the bat. So I think it's important to think of that game that you can come back to time and time again and really enjoy yourself. For me, initially, that was Mario Kart. Mario Kart on the Wii U, Mario Kart 8. It was great because I just got the Wii U. I was really excited about Mario Kart, and I could play with other people. So that was how I was able to connect with my audience right away. Consistency is also really important. So finding what time that works for your schedule and sticking to it, and communicating those time frames to your audience so they know when to catch you next. They know when you're going to be playing Mario Kart again. They know that they can come back and play. That, I think, also gave me kind of a head start, because before, when we were doing the Let's Play channel, we would play what we wanted when we felt like it. Mm-hmm. And I think that was, a setback for us, because, people would just kind of have to catch us.
Figure it out.
We weren't super active on social media, and we just kind of like did what we wanted when we wanted. Mm-hmm. So it's important. Consistency is good. Having a schedule that you can commit to. Making sure that you're right off the bat and that you continue to make content that you enjoy personally creating and that you resonate with. Because when you're just jumping on something because it's popular or something like that, it could actually be a major setback, because people will tell, like, okay, like, this isn't really your style. You don't really seem to be enjoying yourself, and also it's kind of hard to stand out in a crowd if it's something like extremely popular, like Hearthstone, for example.
League of
Legends. There's a big misconception there. They're like, oh, well, if you want to be, huh? Oh,
Dota 2,
Exactly. Or like, oh, Destiny 2 is coming out. Just play Destiny 2. Like, it's already out, but it's coming for PC. Just do that, and you'll be famous. And it doesn't work like that. You have to be dedicated to it, and you have to find what you can give, which is your personality, because like everyone's completely unique. Like, find a way to bring your personality out with the content that you make, and it goes hand in hand with enjoying yourself. Or you can make a channel about stuff that you don't like, but who would want to put time into that?
Yeah,
I know, right? Well, like me personally, I'm more into like reviewing video games. So I get what you're saying, like everyone's reviewing Destiny, everyone's reviewing 2K, or everyone's about to be reviewing Mario. So it's got to be like a way to step outside of it and be different. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. Now, are there times like where you get really tired of streaming, like where you don't feel like doing it? I'm just
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely been guilty of the whole like, oh yeah, I'll start streaming in like an hour. I'll like tweet it, and then an hour comes, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to, and like I'll postpone. It's happened before, and I think that also that goes hand in hand with the whole like you want to avoid burnout. So that's something that I'm trying to become better of. Just because I don't stream as often as I used to. So I want to make sure that the time that I am streaming is spent playing games that I play anyway, and sharing that with the audience that has stuck around throughout my ons and offs with Twitch. But there was, at the beginning of the year, I was still streaming quite a bit. And what really, like, I don't know, got my channel at the success, I guess, that it at one time was much bigger than it is now. But it was the Pokemon franchise. I streamed a lot of Pokemon.
A lot of Pokemon.
A lot.
Oh yeah, actually, that's when I joined. I followed you right one day. I was like, oh cool, she does Pokemon.
Yep, and I still really like the Pokemon franchise. But after I got through Pokemon Sun and Moon, there wasn't too much with the end game that I was finding that I really enjoyed. So I got that burnout and I needed to do something different. And I made that choice to do that, knowing that it would cost me support. And that's a really hard decision to come to terms with as a broadcaster, but I had to do it because I wasn't enjoying myself. So, and that's, I've also made the decision I'm not going to get Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon because I'm just not interested. So.
Oh, whoa, why not?
Because I see things, they're like tweeting the trailers and stuff. And I'm just internally thinking to myself, like, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. I'm not really excited about it. They haven't shown me anything to be excited about. And I don't think I'm alone in that. Like, I've tweeted, I'm like, is anybody else, like, excited? And people are like, no.
So do you think Sun and Moon was kind of your letdown? Because, like, a lot of people say it was kind of a letdown.
Moon?
Yeah, Sun and Moon.
Yeah, Sun and Moon. They were, I mean, like, I think in terms of how the games were presented, I mean, they were a huge leap as far as, like, you know, the graphics and everything. It was a good game to look at. The story was all right, and the new Pokemon were pretty cool, but for someone like me who I kind of built my community around, after doing the playthrough of the game, I would go through and collect shiny Pokemon. The shiny hunting method that was introduced in Sun and Moon was really boring. And I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing it after I had done it for a little bit. At first, I got a lot of quick results and I was excited about it. But after a while, I was like, it just seems less, I don't know.
Less exciting.
Yeah, it's not as exciting. I loved dex nabbing. Like, dex nabbing was my favorite because you'd have to, like, actually creep up on the Pokemon and everything. And it just seemed more engaging than, like, all right, so got to remember how many times I've had a Pokemon on my right-hand side, and then I got to knock it out, and then I got to, it was just kind of, I don't know. It wasn't as interesting for me to do, and I can't imagine it was as interesting to watch.
No, it wasn't interesting to watch. I was like, oh,
see, and then,
in later. I jumped back in later. I jumped back in X and Y. And then when Sun and Moon got announced, I said, okay, I'll play Omega Ruby and Sapphire. And then when I went to Sun and Moon, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no.
This isn't as fun.
Mm-hmm.
it was all right. The Z moves were interesting. I don't know. I liked the trials. I liked the idea of trials. That was a cool new take on, like, I remember people were losing their minds when they were like, there are no gyms. How are they going to make this work? Oh, it's terrible. I already hate it. But I think that they did a good job, to be honest. It wasn't as terrible as people thought.
I was just upset that, like, you introduced Mega Evolution, but you don't really. I was like, huh? Why introduce it?
Yeah, that was actually funny too. I thought the exact same thing. I was like, man, Mega Evolution was such a big deal in Pokemon X and Y, and they just kind of like, where to go? I don't know. It's in the end game. Don't worry about it. Like, yeah, for sure.
Well then, so what game are you playing right now? Or what are you waiting for?
What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't played Destiny 2 outside of the PC beta.
The beta, yeah.
And
that's gonna be the next big one for us. I think that's next week.
The
week after?
Is it next? Oh my gosh, it is.
It's either the next week or the week after.
It's soon. It's really soon.
I pre-ordered it. I'm excited
like
about it. Yeah.
4th.
I never pre-order games, and I pre-ordered that game because I played it on PC when the beta was happening, and I was like, "This is amazing. This is huge."
It was really satisfying.
Yeah, and the first game I played a lot of on PS4, but after the first first 2 raids, I was just like, you know what, this isn't really that great, and like the whole lack of story in the first game, and like the shooting was fun, and it was fun to hang out with your friends and play, but there just wasn't a whole lot of substance. And from what I've heard, Destiny 2 is going to be a lot better. But yeah, I haven't been playing it because we don't have it yet, but we will be playing it. We're looking forward to that.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think of what else is coming out. Like Mario Odyssey is coming out at the end of the month.
Week, right?
Yeah,
that's going to be pretty cool. It looks great. And then something, not to totally like name drop, hey, what's up, Capcom? But Okami HD got announced. That's going to be coming out before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I have not yet played the Okami series, so I really do want to check it out. He tells me that it's excellent.
It's so good.
Really,
Yeah.
It looks pretty good. I think when I came back to you guys were playing your Metroid series.
Yes.
That was I played Samus Returns and beat it like a couple of days ago. That shit was intense.
Yeah, it is.
So Brandon kind of got burnt out on that game, though.
I got burnt out on Samus Returns. I think it was just because it didn't feel like the older Metroids. You know, the Metroid where you could explore everywhere and do anything, and it felt a lot more linear, and it kind of had to be because it was originally made for the Game Boy. So like you had to kill like a certain number of Metroids before you could proceed, and then in the next area, got to kill a certain number of Metroids before you can go to the next area. So kind of different than Super Metroid and Metroid. What was it? Metroid Zero Mission was really good. Metroid Fusion was also really good. Metroid Fusion was linear, but like I still felt like I was finding things, and it just felt better than Metroid Returns. But I do like Metroid Returns, Samus Returns. Samus 2, Metroid Returns. But yeah, I do like Samus Returns. It's really good. I think I just need to come back to it and start.
Yeah, like I said, I beat it, and it was just like that was the first Metroid game I've ever played. It was really good. I just need to step away from it now.
Yeah.
I think we inadvertently set ourselves up for disappointment there, not knowing that. But the whole idea was like, oh yeah, let's play the old Metroid games, so like we can kind of get hyped up about Samus Returns. And like Brandon went through like 3 of them back to back, had like a really good time doing that, and then picked up Samus Returns with like high expectations,
very high,
and it just kind of fell short of them.
Yeah, because all the reviewers and stuff were saying that it's like it was amazing, and I was like, yes, this is what I want, but it just didn't feel the same. Just didn't feel right.
Well,
Which is crazy though is that you guys are the fans and I'm the one getting into the series. And I thought it was an amazing game. So it's like,
it is really good. It's really good.
Yeah, it's probably just again like those games were fresh in your mind. You just finished them.
Yeah,
and the reviewers who were probably they were probably writing this. They haven't played Metroid in a while themselves. They've probably been saving themselves for Samus Returns. So yeah, that was kind of our bad, but I don't know. I don't feel bad about it.
I don't feel bad about it.
Played some great games.
It was great.
We'll come back to Samus Returns.
We'll come back to it.
So how do you guys personally feel about reviews these days? Like some people think that if they work for IGN, they're getting paid off. Some of them aren't really being honest.
Oh, like ethics in games journalism?
Yeah,
I think
like how do you guys?
I think we generally follow some like very what you see is what you get journalists.
Yeah. If you would even call them journalists, I guess they're more like content creators. Like they don't call themselves journalists. Like some of the guys that we follow, the Easy Allies, they used to be part of Game Trailers website. The Game Trailers used to do GameTrailers.com used to do a lot of reviews, a lot of countdowns, a lot of this, a lot of that. They used to be a part of Defy Media, and before that, they were a part of Viacom, like big companies. But then they got dissolved a little over a year ago, and then the guys that were a part of that like company made their own thing on Patreon. It's Patreon, yeah. They're through Patreon. I can't keep track of all these crowdfunding things.
Yeah.
So they're on Patreon now, kind of like how what's the other company that did Kind of Funny? The Kind of Funny guys did that.
Kind of funny.
How they were, I think they were a part of IGN, and then they left as a big group.
Yeah, Greg Miller.
Yeah, as like 3 or 4 guys, they left and they made their own thing.
And they're doing really well.
They're doing really well. And Easy Allies is kind of the same idea, but it's a lot more people. It's like 9 dudes. So some of them are part-time, some of them are full-time, but they still contribute content. Like they still make reviews, they still do this, they still do that. And they're very candid and like respectful. Like part of their community mantra is like love and respect. So like just be respectful to other people. Like don't shit on games, don't shit on people. Like if you're gonna be critical of something, like be critical of it, but don't like be a jerk. You know?
Be like analytical about it. Like present why you don't like it, aside from just like
understand that
it's dumb.
Yeah,
and if you like it, you're dumb. Like
and have the respect and understand that other people might not feel that way and they might really like that game. So like if you're gonna have adverse opinions about it, make sure that you're respectful with it. But yeah, I mean the people we generally follow, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're not paid off or anything like that. And I don't think reviews or game reviews are dead. Like I hear that a lot. Like, oh yeah, game journalism is dead and blah blah blah. It's like no, it's
disagree.
Changing. The platform is changing. You know, like it's 10 years ago we all used to have
Game Informer.
Not even 10. It's been longer than that now. It's been 15, 20 years ago. I used to have a Game Pro subscription. Like Game Pro was a gaming magazine that you would get, which is like unheard of nowadays. Like there's Game Informer that you can get from like GameStop, but they push that. So like it's not like you want that. You don't care about that. You can just
go on Metacritic and see any one that you want to pick from. I mean, I agree. I'm not sketched out by reviews. I follow the Allies, and I think that Polygon tends to be pretty analytical in how they present their reviews too. So like those are pretty much my main sources, but I'll go on Metacritic as well and like get a general sense of like even if it is I don't know, questionable. Like if professional journalists are kind of in the same point where they're like, yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's really great. It's like, you know, an 8 out of 10 or like 4.5 stars or however it is that they go about rating their games. You can usually get a pretty good indication that, you know, like, okay, it's not going to be Super Metroid quality. Yeah. It's not like one of the greats, but it's still worth playing. And that is what I needed to know if I want to wait it out for it to go on a Steam sale or if I'm ready to buy it now. Mm-hmm. So I trust them.
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about it. I think that journalists are becoming a little bit better if there are what some might consider to be conflicts of interest. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, full disclosure, one time I was at a party with this dev and we didn't talk to each other, but maybe we, by happenstance, ordered the same drink. His game just came out, and now we're writing about it. Like, it's. I think people have gotten a bit too sensitive about it. That's just my belief, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, like I said, like, because like me, I guess I'm getting into that realm of like, you know, dive into a video game, reviewing it in my style. Because like the way I do it is like it's on a 10 out of 10 scale, of course. Mm-hmm. but I want to focus on the influences within the video game, like what makes it so great, what makes me enjoy the character so much, and then I'll give you like an influence meter out of 5. Like so, on a scale of 1 to 5, its influence meter might be 4, but its overall review might be a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
and I just want to care about the influences within video games, because like one game that's influenced me the most is, I don't know if you guys ever got the chance to play it, The Last Guardian.
Oh yeah, that's a great game.
So that game actually started me to want to get more into video games, and then right after the Switch came out, and then Zelda, so I was like, yeah, I want to go this route. So now it's just being able to decide which game to review. At what time do I have enough time to cover it all? Because like we're in Q4 and like everything's just about to drop.
Yeah.
Just last month was very busy.
Yeah, and this month's gonna be crazy too.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you like Destiny 2, so it's like I was gonna get Destiny 2. No, like why I was gonna get it, but they were like, you don't play first-person shooters because you get sick. I'm like, well, I gotta overcome that. Like, I don't care. I've gotta overcome it. Like at some point, and then also my friend's like, look, you shouldn't play this game because of this, and that. I was like, dang, you just kind of made me not want to play it, and you didn't even review it. And he's like, I know.
Yeah.
Well, people seem to. I think, like generally speaking, Destiny 2 is getting
pretty good reviews.
Yeah, it's been well received.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole motion sickness thing, like I feel like I've even gotten that from time to time playing a first-person game. It's uncommon for me, but yeah, I mean, like definitely don't play a game that will make you feel nauseated.
No. Well, if Metroid's going to come out for the Switch, I got to play it. Fuck
yeah, that's true.
Like, there's no doubt. I never got a chance to play the Prime games, so it's like, yeah.
They're so good.
Just, I guess, like... stock up on Dramamine.
I love the Prime. Yeah, I love the Prime ones. They're so good.
Now, what game in your sense has influenced you guys? Like game, it's a video.
Specifically, what video games?
Oh yeah.
So I think I kind of talked about Pokemon a little bit. I think that it influenced me, particularly like my Twitch success. But like, I don't know. I'm like I don't know, like a throwback level, like
personal level.
Yeah, that games that really started something for me. So when we were younger, we were actually like internet friends once upon a time. I will get to the game eventually, but first a little Carly and Brandon history. We were internet buddies. Brandon lived in Florida. I lived in Washington State. And I had just gotten a PlayStation 2. Big deal. And I was asking him for game recommendations, and he recommended that I play some music games. So there was a game called Frequency, Guitaru Man, and I was able to get them both for pretty cheap because people were kind of like not really in the know with music games and that kind of thing. So they were both probably about like $15 each. And that started something for me like so big. I was getting so many music games after that. I was like super into DDR, and In the Groove came out, which was like kind of a DDR knockoff, and Pump It Up, which was the Korean one. Like, yeah, like just really into music games throughout high school. So that's something that has kind of stuck with me. The people who made Frequency had a Kickstarter, which is something else that influenced our Twitch channel. Actually, they made a spiritual successor to Amplitude, which was their second game. And they needed a lot of money in a very short period of time. And so that was something that we together on the Carly and Brendan Let's Play channel, we started streaming Frequency and Amplitude every night until the end of that Kickstarter campaign, and it didn't seem like it was going to get funded, but like at the 11th hour it actually came together, and that was really cool. And also kind of like, I don't know, got us to focus on what it was that we wanted to do with the channel and if we thought we could do it, and that sort of thing. So I think music games have actually influenced me quite a bit, as well as Pokemon. Like Pokemon helped the channel out substantially, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I know just like on an emotional level, even though there's no dialogue or anything, but Journey is it just stands out. Yeah,
I heard a lot of good things about Journey.
Love Journey.
I would definitely recommend it because I think that it is very impactful, and it's really cool how they go about doing it because there's no dialogue. It's all communicated, like all the emotion is just conveyed through the music. I would say the music and the environment.
And really, the less you know about the game going into it, the better. Really, like, we could sit here talking about it vaguely in circles for days and days, but until you sit down and play it and experience it, you really just gotta play it. It's a really, really good one. I think they just re-released it on PS4. So if you get a chance and you're curious,
I got you.
Pick that up. Yeah. It's good.
Comes highly recommended.
Well, for me, I don't know. I was thinking about this when Carly was talking. I think most recently, and I guess it's not that recent now. It was a few years ago now, but the Soul series actually was pretty impactful for me because when I first played it, it was Demon Souls way back in the day on PS3. I picked it up and got to the first boss, just didn't get it, didn't click for me, and I put the game aside. I always wanted to come back to it, but I never played it. And then Dark Souls came around, didn't play that. Dark Souls 2 came around, didn't play that. And then the PS4 came out. And I got a PS4, and I had a couple games for it. I had my Destiny. It was all right. And then Bloodborne came out. And I think that's when it happened. When Bloodborne came out, I had heard all the hype. I really wanted to play it. I wanted to get into it. And it came out in a time of my life when I was kind of at an emotional low, an emotional and mental low. My ship was in dry dock, so I was away from home. We were in Seattle for about 6 months. Carly was in Alaska, so we were separated. So it was really stressful. And I would just come home, not home, but like to her house every day. And she wasn't there. I was
my mom's house.
I was staying with her mom. Instead of staying on the ship with everybody else, I would stay with her mom because it was just it was a lot more convenient.
Privacy,
I could get away from everybody and not have to be on the ship. It was already stressful enough working there every day. And I could just lay down and fire out Bloodborne and just get destroyed over and over again until it clicked. It clicked. The gameplay clicked. The story really clicked. Everything clicked at the right time. And once it did, I was blasting through it. I did 2 full playthroughs before I decided that I was going to go back and replay all of the Souls games before Dark Souls 3 came out. Because when I beat Bloodborne, that's right around the time Dark Souls 3 was getting announced. People were getting hyped about it. And I was like, I got to do this. I got to beat it. I got to beat all of them before Dark Souls 3 comes out. So over the next 6 months or so, I went back. I played through Demon Souls. I played through Dark Souls. And Dark Souls I actually played through on the ship while we were underway. So the original Dark Souls I played through a lot with like a bunch of people around me. And like we would trade off on the controller and try to get past like hard parts. Me and the other guys that work on the ship. In Dark Souls 2, I finished Dark Souls 2 just in time for Dark Souls 3 to come out. And Dark Souls 3 was huge for me too. I brought that one underway with me. And yeah, it just really picked me up from, an emotional low. It's like one of those games where you hit your head against a brick wall for hours or days, and then finally something clicks, and the amount of satisfaction you get from beating that level or beating that boss or finding out how to do this one thing, finding that secret zone that they don't tell you about in the game. Like there's always secrets that you could totally miss if you just don't know where to look. So yeah, the Soul series was pretty big for me, I think. Yeah.
Hey, I know exactly what you're talking about though, man, because I tried that shit. Dark Souls 3, I was like, man, this is pissing me off. Went away for a second, ate something, came back, got better at it. I'm like, damn, okay, I can do this. You just gotta take that break.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised you guys were playing Cuphead.
Oh, Cuphead! I want to play Cuphead.
I don't think it's on Steam yet. Right?
It is.
It's on Steam. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if it was like one of those Windows 10 like platform games or whatever, because you know how sometimes
we can get it.
Microsoft can be
weird about their stuff. Yeah, we can get it on Steam right now.
I had one game that came to mind when you were talking as something that I think influenced you quite a bit when you were younger. That's now become tradition for us.
Oh,
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid.
Explain to me what makes Metal Gear so great. Because I got Metal Gear Solid 5. It's the game of the month.
Yeah.
PlayStation. But what makes this series so great? I hear about Kojima is a really great director. He's doing Death Stranding. That looks interesting. But what the hell makes Metal Gear so great?
So I think a lot of it comes down to the vibe. Just the vibes of the game. The lore is super deep and really confusing.
Very Kojima.
Yeah, it's and like when you hear the name or the adjective Kojima thrown around, like, oh, it's very Kojima. It's Kojima-esque. It just means that it's weird in like an endearing way. Because he purposefully makes things weird. Like he's put himself into games before. He put himself into Metal Gear Solid 5 as like a super secret side mission where you can like rescue him. It's hilarious. But yeah, there are just like little things about that world, about the world that he made in Metal Gear Solid, that are really interesting. And Metal Gear Solid 1 was super impactful, influential, I think, for us. And every year we have a tradition now where we play through the entire game on New Year's Eve. So it's our New Year's Eve tradition. We'll sit down. It's about an 8-hour game. So we'll sit down and we'll play through 4 hours one night and play 4 hours the next night. Maybe one of these days we'll just play the whole thing all the way through 8 hours. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I guess I would recommend, if you're going to be playing Metal Gear Solid 5, to play through at least the first one, because the first one's not long. You can beat it in 8 hours. I think you can download it on the PSN store. I'm not sure exactly where, either on PS3 or PS4, but
I was gonna get the collection, so you're fine, bro.
Yeah, you get the collection. Yeah, so like it's really, really good. It still holds up. We play it. We play it every year, so we know that it holds up. But it's really good. It gives you a good foundation for where the world is and like where Kojima's building certain things. Even though when you come into Metal Gear Solid initially and you haven't played any of the other games, you do feel kind of blindsided. You're like, okay, who are these people they're talking about? What's going on? Like, it sounds like these people have history, but really the games that they're referencing were Metal Gear for the NES, and then Metal Gear Snake Returns, which was like also an NES or an SNES game or something. Really, really old games. Like, I'm talking old, like 1988 or 1987. So
you don't have to go back.
You don't have to go back that far to understand the lore. Like, the lore of those games is really, really surface. Like, it's skin deep. It doesn't go very deep. You can get the gist of what those games are about in the prologue and the flashbacks of Metal Gear Solid. So, but it's part of what makes that world super cool. It's just the lore, the characters, the goofiness.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, a Kojima game, it is serious without taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
So
What?
I mean, like, yeah, like you'll be able to. I mean, without spoiling anything, like, you know, if you do a certain thing, you might be able to like catch a guard with his pants down, or like sneak up on a girl in like her underwear or something like that. So I mean, like, I don't know, it sounds mildly pervy, but I mean, Japanese humor and that type of thing, I mean, it was also in the 90s, so like that kind of thing flew a little bit better than like it probably would now. But yeah, little Easter eggs like that, and even still, like Metal Gear Solid 5, like you can do some goofy stuff in that game.
Really? I can't wait then.
It's so goofy.
So I mean, you can go through the missions and do them all, you know, stealthily and seriously and everything, and it's really cool. But you can also just like parade around. I've seen like chicken hats and stuff. Like you're like this like mercenary tough guy wearing a chicken hat, like really, sliding around on a box on your tummy, like in the middle of the desert. Yeah, like you don't have to take it seriously.
It's a good game.
I had to check it out because, like, I thought it was supposed to be completely serious the whole time. So okay.
Yeah, you can goof off.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I guess this is the perfect question because you two are both gamers. How does that work in the actual relationship? Because like for you two, like, because like it seems to be the vibe here in Kentucky that women don't like guys playing video games.
I don't like that stigma. I mean, it's weird to me that I know it exists, but and I'm totally biased because I grew up with games and stuff, and like, you know, it's very easy for me to say like, well, video games are for everyone, so just like them, you know. Like, because I mean, maybe it's just that those women haven't found a game that they really do connect with, and they don't understand why men, in whatever relationship that it is, be it like, you know, someone they're romantically involved with or their siblings or that kind of stuff, like they don't understand why someone would spend time doing it, so therefore it's a waste of time, maybe. Maybe that's the connection there, but
I think a lot of it has to do with like region too. Like Carly grew up on the West Coast, specifically in Washington and Seattle, which is like one of the most like diverse, like liberal places that you can grow up. Very accepting of different personality types and lifestyles. And I grew up in South Florida, which is also pretty liberal, but it's on the East Coast, and there's definitely a different mentality for people that live on the East Coast and the West Coast, and even in the South. I have a lot of friends. I lived in Texas for a year. I have a lot of friends that are from the South, so I know that it's definitely different over there. The people's preferences are different. Like people like football, and people like to drive around on their trucks. And this isn't like stereotypes. Like this is actually like what it's like in those places. So like preferences and priorities are different in those areas. Like in South Florida, it was just as weird for me to be staying inside and playing video games because like
that's a good point.
Yeah, there were I could just go out to the beach, or I could go out and skate, or I could go to the pool and hang out with like chicks or whatever people do in South Florida, you know? So like it was just as much of a stigma there. I just think that maybe it was a little bit more accepting in South Florida, but still pretty much a stigma. I mean, but on the West Coast, it's like, yeah, do what you're gonna do.
That makes sense too, because like climate, you think about it in Washington, it is no, you know, mystery that during the winter and that kind of stuff, it gets really rainy in Washington, and you kind of have to occupy yourself indoors. So it's very normal to want to play a game, and there is such a huge video game presence there that you know, it just kind of like, oh yeah, Microsoft. My dad works at Microsoft. He just got an Xbox. Let's play Xbox, you know. So it was really normal for me to know other girls that they might not have necessarily been like into Halo, but they had an Xbox in their house and they were familiar with it, and they at least, like, I don't know, would maybe watch their brother play it, or I don't know what else was really on Xbox, to be honest. We had one, but it became my brother's, and I got the PS2 and like Kingdom Hearts and that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like that's another title that like women could easily get behind. There are Disney princesses in it, like that sort of thing. So, I mean, I think it's definitely about finding the right title, but yeah, probably also what's like culturally normal does play a role, and I probably just wasn't as exposed to that, because in my area it was super normal for people to have video games and to play them regardless of, I mean, like, yeah, it was a little less common for women, but I don't know, I still knew plenty of girls that were, I mean, like, yeah, in DDR too, like, it's a dancing game. So
yeah, like, it's really cool just to see it happen. It's like, oh, you do like video games. I'm like, yeah. But
I think that mobile games have also kind of, like, I don't know, maybe introduced people to video gaming, like, on a casual kind of level. Like, people might think video games and think of, like, oh man, I don't know, people probably still come to, like, oh, World of Warcraft, like one of those MMOs, like the one I saw on South Park, or oh, it's always about Call of Duty, it's this and that.
Now, do you consider yourself a casual or no?
I do, because I'm not not good at games. I play them, I enjoy them. I don't think I'm that good at them though.
Well, we were like, me and my friends were talking like, well, I think there needs to be a category in between casuals and like pro, because like you guys stream a lot, so there should be like a level like where you're in between that in the casual setting.
Yeah,
and I feel that way too.
We say game enthusiast. So
exactly,
I mean,
we're game enthusiasts. Like, I play a lot of games, but I wouldn't consider myself a professional gamer or like I wouldn't even say a gamer.
Hardcore,
hardcore.
Yeah, me either.
I don't like that. I don't like that title. I would rather be considered a games enthusiast or a game hobbyist or something like that. I will refer to myself as a filthy casual sometimes, especially if I'm playing like PUBG or Rocket League or something like that, where the communities are very competitive. Like, I imagine if I got into CS:GO, it would be the same story. I'd just be a filthy casual, which is fine with me. I'm just there to have fun, there to play the games. But
yeah.
I mean, I feel like this year, like for me personally, like this has probably been the toughest year I've ever played a video game, because I played like everything that came out this year almost. It was like, really? And like beat them all. It's like, I think I've had my share of like any title you can think of. Persona 5, beat it.
Oh, P5, so good.
Yeah, it's so good. What was it? What else? Horizon Zero Dawn.
Right. Oh, that's my game of the year.
Okay, so the DLC is coming out like in November or something. Or maybe
Platinum that. I was like, okay.
Nice.
And then I played Breath of the Wild. I'm like, okay, that's my game of the year.
Yeah.
And then I also played The Witcher for the first time and beat it. I was like,
dude, you're all about that open world.
I love The Witcher.
That open world, like, no, this is like my first year actually diving into open world games too. So it's like I'm pretty open world out for this year.
Yeah.
The Witcher though, like the epitome of game design. It's so good. Like, the combat is like, kind of wishy-washy, like when compared to a more like difficult game like Dark Souls or a more diverse game like Horizon. But like the world, the characters, the graphics, like everything feels so organic. It feels like everything is like, whether or not you're there as Geralt, the world is still spinning in that world.
What's crazy about that world is that I actually read the books while I was playing the game, so I was like, oh great, I know these characters for real.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Platoon 2 was great. I was like, oh great, this is actually pretty good. Like, I never played the first one, so when I played it for the Switch, I was like, "Dang, this is really good."
It's fun.
I can't.
I
I can't put it down.
I like Salmon Run a lot, but I don't know. I'm kind of okay to have my break with Splatoon right now.
She
like,
played it a lot for the Wii U.
I did, and like
It's essentially the same game on the Switch.
it's got its differences, but I don't know. I guess it's just like I didn't have enough of a break in between them to really get like, yeah. But I mean, if you're coming into it brand new, I can understand, because when I first started playing Splatoon on the Wii U, like I don't think I would have gotten that game as quickly as I did if it hadn't have been for the test fire that they did initially. Because I was like, I mean, it kind of looks all right. I don't know. And then they let people demo it for free to kind of, stress test, which is a good thing that they did, because servers were still trash. One of them was really, one of them was a complete disaster. But but aside from that, like, if I wasn't able to play it, I wouldn't have known that I liked it so much. And Splatoon was really fun. I just need to come back to it, I think. But I think it's great that it's back and that they're making new levels and new gear and everything, because that was something that was so great about the original Splatoon, is that they had constant free updates, and you don't get that spoiled that often with a game.
No, you don't. But like I said, I try to stay away from some spoilers. Like Mario, I'm like, I don't want to see anything.
Yeah.
Now, you were saying that Horizon is your game of the year, Brandon?
Game of the year.
Okay. We can have this conversation because you played Breath of the Wild too, right?
I did.
We didn't complete it.
Okay. I completed it.
We didn't complete it.
I didn't. Did you beat it at least?
No. Nope.
Oh, wow.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
Anyways, my question is this. Do those two games not feel the same?
Not at all.
They feel, and this is one of my main.
The problem is we were playing them simultaneously, so we kept comparing.
That's what I'm saying.
They came out the same week or the week after or something crazy like that.
No, this came out like 3 days apart, so it was like
we got
okay
at the same time. We started Zelda first, then because it's so intense, like we were like, okay, we're gonna start up Horizon. Maybe this will be a nice break. And we started Horizon,
and we couldn't put it down.
It was so good. The controls were so intuitive, so like fluid. The way the animations are, like everything just feels right. It all just feels good. The combat is amazing. Your weapons don't break, which is nice. And I think the biggest thing for me was the controls. The combat in Breath of the Wild, it just feels janky, and the controls don't help it. The controls it's weird to me that I have to press like 6 like different buttons to do like one thing in Breath of the Wild. The fact that things that should be 2 separate buttons are 1 button, like drawing your bow, like aiming your bow and then drawing your arrow is like the same button. So like there's no way to like cancel the action unless you do like 5 other things to like put your bow away. And then if you
I get what you're saying.
If you want to change weapons mid combat, it's like
you have to have a shortcut.
Press this button over here, and then scroll with this thing, and then do this other thing. And if your weapon breaks, Link doesn't auto equip the next weapon in that category, which blows my mind. Like all these things that I feel like they could have solved with more testing or better controls or something. It's one of the reasons why we didn't finish the game, I think, is because every time I sit down, and I've done this multiple times over the past few months, every time I sit down and I'm like, I'm gonna make a dent in this game. I'm gonna do it. I'll take it to bed with me. I'll bring the Switch into bed and I'll get after it. And I just get frustrated with the controls. It's just so, it just feels janky. I don't know how else to explain it.
I found for me that I struggled with the timing specific things that you're supposed to do during combat. And it made me get really salty because I'm not trying to say that I can't handle change, but the combat system that was introduced in Ocarina of Time worked so well that they continued to use that as the base model for many Zelda games to come. And they totally changed it in Breath of the Wild. And all of my training did not lead to Breath of the Wild, and that was very frustrating for me. And yeah, so that was tough. It was tough for me to get into the game because combat is so pervasive in that game. You're constantly exploring new areas and there are new enemies and you gotta defend yourself, and I was really bad at it. But what I did really like was the shrines. I loved going to the shrines. I loved the puzzles. Yep. There were some really good ones. So I found myself not really making a dent whatsoever in the main story, even though I heard great things about it, because I couldn't do it. I was really bad at I got to one of the first
first beasts.
Something divine beasts. What was it? It's special, wonderful, divine beasts. I got to the elephant one, and
I think everybody did it at first. I feel like everyone.
I got to that part where you're fighting some Shadow Ganon thing, and I was like, oh my god, what is this, Dark Souls? I can't do this. I'm not ready to take on this type of enemy. Oh my gosh. So I split and I started looking for more shrines, and I don't know, I guess it was probably around that time that I got hired at Capcom, and I just kind of dropped it. So because it was in April, and I remember Breath of the Wild came out in March, so I spent most of my time just exploring and shrining it up, and then I was like, okay, I can probably do a divine beast now. Went to it, realized I couldn't handle it, did some more shrines, and then got a real job.
Well, I would suggest you guys to play Nier if you haven't had a chance.
Yes. I haven't purchased. I haven't downloaded. I haven't gotten to it yet. That's one of the games on our Brandon's Backlog series. I've been playing through a bunch of games that I have to get through. No JRPGs on that list because JRPGs can run 90+ hours. So I'm not going to be finishing Persona 5 on my Brandon's Backlog streaming playlist. But we do have Nier. Nier is on there.
153 hours for Persona 5, one playthrough. I was like, 153?
Yeah. So I've heard anywhere between 90 and 110, 120 is pretty average for Persona 5. And I mean, that was my playthrough of Persona 4. When I played through Persona 4 Golden on the Vita, it was 110 hours. And
really?
I got everything. I got all the social links, because I had played through it before when it was on PS2. So I knew. But yeah, Persona 5 has been so good. I don't want it to end is part of the problem. I know I'm close to the end, and
so just don't finish it.
I don't want to
finish
it. I don't want to finish it. Yeah, but I have to.
Well, Spoon, where are you at in the game? So
I just got the least memorable character in the entire series.
Okay.
What's that chick's name? Starts with an H.
Okay, Haku.
Yeah. I think it's the last chick you get, the very last chick. Yeah, and I'm just she's not really that interesting. Futaba's way more interesting.
That's
no,
what
you
I
got
think.
a while to go, bro.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think that was the last.
You got a while to go.
Yeah.
What's it called? Because it was the TV world in Persona 4.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember where you go in this one, but I remember you fighting a Sphinx woman.
Oh, that was Futaba's boss.
Right.
So we've had Futaba for a while, and then we got the next chick. I forget her name. She's some politician's daughter or something.
Yeah, Haru.
Yeah. Very unmemorable. But yeah.
Shots fired.
So yeah, I mean it's been really good, getting all the social links, and I I guess I just got to dive back into it because it is a lot of fun. The combat's really good, and yeah.
It took me a while because like this is my first Persona game, so it was like a lot to digest at first. I'm like, damn, this is a lot.
Big games. Yeah. Big games.
If you want to have a more upbeat, since you've gone through Persona 5 and if you enjoyed it a lot,
play 4.
Play 4 because
it's so good.
It's definitely a lot. Like from the beginning, it's definitely a lot. There's a lot of shade that's thrown at you. And Persona 5 is something I noticed right from the get-go. It's like everyone's so pissed off to see
you're like,
your criminal record. They're like, oh God, not you. Like,
Persona 5 is like all of the things that were kind of dark about Persona 3. Like it handled some dark themes. They brought some of that to Persona 5, but they also like tried to squeeze in some happiness and some good stuff from Persona 4. They tried to find that balance because a lot of people that were huge diehard fans of Persona 3, they were like, why is Persona 4 so happy-go-lucky? Persona's not supposed to be about, just going to school.
I like to play sad, or I like to feel sad when I play my games.
I like to feel depressed. So they tried to keep some of that like seriousness, but at the same time keep some of the happy so you don't feel like that you're so downtrodden all the time. But Persona 5 is really good. I think it's the best one so far out of all of them. But Persona 4, just because of how happy it is, I think it'd be a good play if you wanted to sit down. If you have a Vita, that's the best way to play it. Yeah.
No, I don't have a Vita, but I need to get one.
Yeah, you can get a Vita TV, which is the one. It's like a small little thing that you can plug into your TV with an HDMI cable. You can play it that way with a PS4 controller. So it's way better than playing it on an actual Vita. I mean, if you have a Vita and you want to play it that way, that's fine too. That's how I played it. But if you want to play it on your TV, you can get a Vita TV and play it that way. It's really convenient. So,
and I think Persona 5 was probably the best thing for JRPG fans because we have Final Fantasy 15. Mm-hmm. Some people think that was a letdown. I can see where they're coming from. And then, I was, disappointed when I played 15. I was like, well, I think it's a good game, but there's still more that they could have done with it.
Oh, totally.
But when I played Persona 5, it was like I was fist pumping at the end of the damn game because it was so good. Just fist pumping, especially that final boss. I won't spoil it for you, but I was like, fuck it.
Yeah. Persona final bosses are always really, really good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to finish it. But yeah, Final Fantasy, that's another game that I played this year that was really good for about 2 weeks, and then I never picked up after that. So I got to finish that one for sure.
Final Fantasy 15, I suggest you finish it. At least finish it.
Yeah, for sure.
If you spent $60 for it, you got it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, get your money's worth for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's how I felt about all of my games this year. I'm like, well, I got to play it. I have to. There's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's I've always you guys have a back catalog, and it's probably a way for you to go back and play games that you want to play, but at the same time, all the newer games are coming out at the same time. It's how do you balance it?
It's rough. Yeah,
it's tough. Yeah, that's why we're gonna make an effort. But thinking about it now, man, we got the Sonic Mania. We haven't touched that yet. Yeah. I got Monster Hunter Stories. Haven't touched that yet.
There's one game that I need to go ahead and beat, and everybody's gonna be really? I might get some shade thrown, but I've never beaten Majora's Mask, so.
Oh, it's good.
Oh, neither have
I. Really?
Yeah. Charlie, I never beat Majora's Mask.
I need to. I get to a certain point in the game every time. I'm just okay, I'm done.
Is it around the Zora area? Because
exactly. How'd you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yep.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
That's a big hurdle. Yeah.
It's
I got there twice, and then I was just kind of eh. And I didn't get it for the 3DS, but it was supposed to look
a lot better.
And
it plays a lot better, smoother. But I told my dad, like, I really don't want to start this fucking game up again. He said, why? I'm like, I don't want him to take my fucking horse.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yep.
so good.
Now, I was having a conversation with my friend. Did you guys get an SNES Classic?
Yeah.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. You guys got a lot of good games on it. I saw one today. But one of my friends made an argument that if you were to do a top 25 of whatever you want, none of those games that were on the Super Nintendo or 360 or anything should be compared to a top 25. Now, can you agree with that or just go like, that's crazy?
Wait, none of the games that are on the SNES Classic could be on a top 25, like a personal top 25 or like a Hall of Fame, like a video game Hall of Fame.
Like a Hall of Fame.
Dude, I disagree like 110%.
I think I would disagree with that. I don't think all of the games on there would make it into a top 25, but I think I can think of 5 off the top of my head right now. Link to the Past, Super Metroid, what was it? Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy III, and Super Mario World. Like, those are 5 of the greatest games ever made, 2 of the greatest JRPGs ever made. Super Metroid, personal favorite of mine. Like, I don't know.
That's where you say Earthbound, honestly.
Oh, Earthbound.
That's my game. Yeah. But I mean, it's definitely more of like, that's kind of a cult classic. Like, it's definitely a great game, but people are not as familiar with it as they are even like Secret of Mana.
Mm-hmm.
I think that everyone was pretty surprised that Chrono Trigger didn't make it onto the SNES Classic. And I feel like that would be like one of the exceptions to your friend's argument. They're like, oh, okay, well, that means that Chrono Trigger could be in Hall of Fame. And I know that game has like a huge fan base, which again, I'm a terrible person. I've never played it. And I thought that the SNES Classic would be my opportunity. But luckily for me, it exists. You can get it on mobile. You can get it on PSN. So there's still opportunity to play it if you haven't, if you're a bad person like me. But in any case, yeah, I disagree. There are some excellent games on the SNES Classic that deserve recognition and Hall of Fame placement.
No, how much? But I think he was looking at it from a graphical standpoint. How much does graphics play a factor in your guys when you're playing a game? Is it noticeable, or you're just like, oh, it's there?
Oh,
A
okay.
bat just flew in the TSC.
Okay, sorry. Work emergency. I guess a bat just flew into like his office or something. For me personally, I mean, graphics can definitely enhance an experience, but at the end of the day, that doesn't necessarily guarantee a great video game. And I think that is all that I really need to say about it, because there are plenty of indie titles that are coming out now that are getting in touch with that retro 16-bit kind of feel, and they're still excellent video games. So I understand, like, you see a game like The Witcher and how incredible and vast those worlds are, but it's a really apples to oranges comparison when you have that and you compare like, oh, well, Witcher 3 was better than Cuphead because it had better graphics. It's like, those are 2 very different types of games, and from what I understand, they're both excellent. So, I mean, like, yeah, good graphics, that's awesome. But if that's all your game really has to offer, it will fall flat. Gamers will recognize that.
Oh, so you can even see that too. Okay. So, but like some people are like, well, it looks so great. So, like when you look at the Xbox One X and it says the most powerful console, how do you feel about that? You're just like, okay, whatever.
I mean, that's great. That's great for Microsoft. I hope that they're able to sell it to an audience that appeals to. But again, since we have a very capable gaming PC and a lot of the exclusives that come out for Xbox also come out to PC, we don't have a reason to get one and to get like super excited about that, because it's definitely at this point for us, it's more rational for us to just update our PC with whatever hardware to get comparable or better performance than an Xbox One would get. So I'm sure there are people out there that Xbox One X. I'm sure there are people out there that are really excited about it, and I'm definitely not one to say like, well, they shouldn't be excited. They should just get a PC, because maybe that's not the experience that they want. You know, who am I to say what they should spend their money on and what they should enjoy. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, that's something that I think as a gaming community, like, people should be more mindful of. Like, just because something isn't for me doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that I'm not the consumer for it. So I mean, I'll let people enjoy what they're going to enjoy, and people can get their Xbox One X's, and hopefully, like, it does awesome with the games that they're trying to play on it. But I'll stick to PC just because it makes the most sense for me.
For some reason, it feels like if you have a PC, you tend to also have a Nintendo because you want to play the Nintendo games, because that's the only spot you're going to be able to play them. Is that true?
I think that's fair, yeah, because Nintendo is, you got to have their hardware to play their software, and that's how it's always been. It's how it probably always will be. I mean, like, the fact that they got into mobile gaming recently is a pretty big step for Nintendo, I think. But there are also, some PS4 exclusives, like Naughty Dog games come to mind that I know. Uncharted, Lost Legacy. We got through that one recently.
Did you like it?
Yes. And Brandon really liked it too, but I guess he's figuring out how to get the bat out of the office. Yeah.
That was actually my second review that I ever did, so I was like, oh yeah. So
yeah.
It's always interesting to see. Yeah, Lost Legacy was the second one I ever did. So it's like, so I wonder what other people think.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. I mean, did you played the other Uncharted games?
Oh yeah, I played all of them. Like, when I got a PlayStation 4, I got it from a friend because they had two. They had two PlayStation 4s, and they were like, well, would you like one? Or like, would you like to buy one off of us? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Then like a month later, the Nathan Drake collection came out. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll play through these.
Perfect.
So yeah, then after that, Uncharted 4, I was like, okay. Then I played the last of it. So I was like, dang, Naughty Dog is really good.
Yeah, they've got some great ones. I feel like those are another, just like in terms of impact and how they really can get the narratives. They're so intense, and the characters are really fleshed out and everything. I was so curious how they were going to do a game with Chloe and Nadine, just because I always kind of perceived Chloe as the other woman, and I'm sure like she's the bad girl and that sort of thing. And then like Nadine was like this like ruthless mercenary woman, and I was like, how are these two going to, I mean, like, they seem like they have too much attitude for each other. Like, I wonder how they're going to go on an adventure and like how this is going to work out. And it worked out really well, and I didn't have any doubts. I was just kind of like, this is a good opportunity for me to see these characters in a different light, because I've always kind of perceived Chloe as like scandalous and bad, and we didn't really get to know too much about Nadine, so it was a good opportunity for them to bring more to her character, and it was really cool.
Now, some people say, okay, like, it's an argument, because I even had to bring up in my review. How come people feel like the Uncharted series is nothing but a movie? And why would you want to play it?
Wait, sorry?
Like, why is it nothing but just a movie? And why would you want to play it? That's a question.
It's like, they think it's like an interactive movie?
No, not even an interactive movie. It is a movie. Like, it plays itself. Like...
Oh, I don't think it does that. I mean, it's. I think it took Naughty
I'm a fan,
Dog.
so don't worry about me. So I'm a fan.
Yeah.
These are just questions.
No, yeah, I don't think that they really play themselves. I mean, you have to navigate the environments either with your vehicle or by scaling environments and solving puzzles and that type of thing. I mean, I think that there are definitely games that are close to that type of gameplay style, but I don't think that Lost Legacy falls under that umbrella. I'm trying to think of what might. There are some where it's just like, you know, very dialogue heavy type games. I don't know. I'm not trying to throw like Telltale games under the bus here, but like in some way that game I feel like matches that description more than Lost Legacy does. Like, I don't know, like Walking Dead, for example, any of them.
Or like Life is Strange, maybe.
Life is Strange, yeah. Maybe you're walking around and having like dialogues, and ultimately they matter. But like, you know, there's no shootout sequences. There's not like scaling buildings, and I mean like Life is Strange had some puzzles, but you know they weren't in terms of like, oh, I have to find these artifacts and manipulate the runes so that the shadows cast are like the actual, you know, goddesses and gods of this particular mythology and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I feel like it's definitely, it's something that requires a player to get through.
Yeah. Like, I enjoyed it, though, because, like, at certain points, like, when we played up at school, it was like, all right, we're going to turn it off. We got to do another shooting scene. We just want to turn it off. And, like, the next thing, he was like, well, I'm done.
Yeah.
See y'all. I got class. Like, something really fast. Like, I got to go. But, like, they're really, really great. And, like, I would suggest, like, someone to play the Uncharted series.
For sure. Yeah. They're great games. I think with Uncharted 4 that they ended it on a really good note for Drake and Elena. So I hope they just kind of let that be, because when Uncharted 3 came out, I felt like they wrapped everything up really nicely then. So when they announced Uncharted 4, I was like, what? Why? And then we played Uncharted 4 and it was excellent. So like now I'm just kind of like, okay, like let's maybe do one of these spin-off series with Chloe and Nadine, or Sam and Sully, and that type of thing. Just let Nate and Elena be together, please.
Yeah.
I need this.
So I know you're probably excited for The Last of Us 2 then, because like everybody should be excited for that. Like,
I feel bad that Brandon's not here for these conversations, because these are again like really big deals to him. The Last of Us Part 2 in particular. The Last of Us is such an incredible game. And actually, we had someone in my channel recently say like, it just wasn't for me. And like my mind was blown because we think it's so great. But I mean, again, at the end of the day, some things that you love, it's just like, it's not going to mesh well with other folks. Yeah. And like, it, again, was being completely respectful about it. It wasn't like, that's a board game and I hate it and I hate you. Like, he was just kind of like, you know what? I didn't really like it. I didn't really dig the stealth sequences and so on and so forth. But for me, like, I don't know. I thought that the world that they created was so interesting with the cordyceps infection, and a really interesting take on like a zombie type outbreak where it's like more of like a mushroom face and that kind of stuff, instead of like the undead with, you know, rotting flesh and all that stuff and eating your brains just for fun. I don't know, but yeah, Ellie is a really interesting character, and I think it's, without again spoiling, because I'm not sure if everyone in the audience has gone through it, but it's going to be interesting to see at the conclusion of The Last of Us what happens then with Ellie and Joel. And you know, that trailer that they dropped is intense. Like, Ellie's got a lot of frustrations, it looks like, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they kind of fill in those gaps. I'm really excited because I think they did a good job of kind of doing that with what was it, the DLC Left Behind?
Yeah, Left Behind. I never did get the chance to play that, but I heard it was really good.
Check it out.
Check it out. Okay, I got the game, so it's for the PS4, so I got it.
Yeah.
If it's that good, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it kind of fills in the gaps. It lets you know, like, Ellie's background a bit more, how she got bit, and yeah, also fills in the gaps of what happened when Joel was injured and Ellie was taking care of him. So yeah, it's kind of like a back and forth between those two areas of the game where it's just kind of like, oh, well, what happened while Joel was, out of commission and injured, and he got stabbed or wherever it was that happened. I just know that Ellie had to drag him off to take care of him and go hunting for him and everything.
Now, are you a Red Dead Redemption fan or no? Or GTA?
I've never played Red Dead, but again, that's another one of Brandon's big favorites. So he's super excited about the sequel, and maybe it'll be another opportunity for us to do something kind of like we did with Metroid, where I never really got to see Red Dead Redemption, but I've only ever heard positive things about it. And I know that Brandon loves it, and I'm sure he would play it again, especially in anticipation of the sequel. So yeah, that'll be something that will probably happen.
Okay, because I never played the first one myself, so it's like seeing everyone get hyped for 2. It's like, okay, I'll have to watch somebody play it, or I'll play it.
Yeah, yeah. We should both look into it. I think we already have it, so it probably wouldn't be too difficult for us to just boot it up and stream it.
Okay. Well, I think what happened with me is I said this all the time before, is that when I got into high school, I played 4 years of high school football. Mm-hmm. So that kind of diminished the time I got to be able to play video games. So now it's I see the whole backward catalog now that college years are done. I can go back and play all these games that everyone's oh, really good. Because you said Earthbound, my dad's played it. He loves it. I've never seen the game played, so I downloaded it for the 3DS for $10. That's not an ad, but
and you too can buy Earthbound.
Yeah, so I'm gonna run through it to see if it's really good. I heard that it really is, but what can I expect from that game?
So to not give you, I don't know. I want you to be set for success in playing Earthbound. It's a fairly long game, and it's kind of difficult right off the bat. I would definitely recommend not being ashamed of just having some sessions where you're just grinding out levels, because it will make new areas more manageable, because you'll go from area to area and enemies are dealing so much damage than from where you just came from, and you can inadvertently get yourself knocked out, and that's never fun. So don't be afraid of doing the level grind. And there are also, if you do get stuck, because there are some areas where it's just kind of okay, what do I do next? There are some good walkthroughs out there, and if you want to make sure that you get the secrets, there are good items that you might want to know where they are. But if you want to go through completely blind, by all means, just enjoy it. It's a very quirky JRPG. It has a lot of character, and it might might not be as, I don't know, visually pleasing as some of like the other JRPGs that came out around the same time frame. Like especially I'm talking like the ones that Square was releasing at the time. It I don't, and I'm not trying to be mean, but like
No,
it's not very pretty compared to those other games, those other JRPGs that came out on the SNES, but it's very quirky and is very fun, and it's a cool take on the RPG genre just because it's like, you know, some average kids instead of like grand fantasy champions with,
yeah.
you know, yeah.
Like I started up, it said pick your names. I'm like, okay. I named that person. I was like, pick another name. Okay. Name your dog. What?
Yeah.
Why am I naming my dog? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Right at the top of the game, yeah, you're naming your whole party, and those characters, you won't see them all immediately. They kind of trickle in.
Oh,
So.
really? Okay. I was like, okay. And it said pick up a baseball bat. I'm like, okay.
Sounds good.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Now, I love the NPC dialogue in that game too. I recommend talking to people because, you know, a lot of people will just give you things like healing items and that kind of stuff. But there's also just some really silly things like at the very beginning of the game. I'm not sure how far you've progressed already, but you know, that there are like police blockades and that kind of stuff. There's this one officer where you talk to him and he's like, oh yeah, like I am totally paraphrasing here, but it's something along the lines of like, oh yeah, we're going for the world record of like how many blockades we can put up in our town or something like that. Just to kind of like give, I don't know, like an explanation as to like, why can't I just walk down the street? Like, why can't I go to the next town? There's always some blockade, right? So like, yeah, they're going for the world record. I was like, that's good. I didn't get that when I was younger, but I get it now, and that's funny.
I think like what's funny is that when you go back and play some of these older games that we played as a kid, and you like as an adult, you know, it's like, oh, well, it's pretty cool. I think it was actually your run through of maybe Pokemon Yellow when you got the Mew. Nobody would have thought of that shit growing up.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
huh?
There were so many rumors too about like how to get it to happen, and like people were buying Game Sharks and that kind of thing. Like I remember when I was younger with Pokemon Blue, I thought if you caught all 150 Pokemon and you went and talked to Professor Oak that he would give you a Mew. Because like he was like, oh yeah, come back and see me. Like once you've completed your Pokedex, I'll give you something special. So I was like, oh, it must be Mew. Okay, I'll do all the work. I'll get all the Pokemon. So I did, and I show up, and he's like, wow, you completed your Pokedex. Have this stupid certificate of completion. I was like, are you serious? I mean, that was my first rage quit. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see how it happens. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that like I have a job in now, is like bugs and game glitches and that type of thing. So, I mean, it is crazy. I wonder how someone found that out, because those are extremely particular steps to recreate it and to get Mew to show up in an encounter. Like, that's bizarre to me, but they found a way to make it happen, and
they let it count too on your Pokédex, which was good. I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, really cool.
Now you said, okay, you said disclaimers. Go ahead and say it. This Harley on the moon over here actually worked for Capcom in Cali. It was kind of funny.
Yes, it do. Oh
and
yeah.
So he told us a little bit about it. I want my Mega Man, but you know, but
well, yeah, I'll just like really quickly, any opinions, attitudes, that kind of thing, they're mine. They do not align with Capcom. So I'm speaking for myself, not on behalf of Capcom. But yeah, I am really excited to be there. and I actually was not expecting to hear back from the opportunity when I first applied. That was, when was it? I think it was around the end of March. No, it wasn't. It must have been around the end of February. That's when it was. So anyhow, yeah, I got hired mid-April, and I've been there ever since. And it's been such a cool opportunity. I had been meaning to get myself back into the video game field when we moved here to the Bay Area, which was actually last summer. I'd been waiting for the right opportunity to show up, and I didn't know if I was 100% qualified for the Capcom position, but I figured, why the hell not? And fired a resume over and ended up getting the job. So that's really cool. What I do, I'm a QA lead. So I essentially make sure that games that Capcom USA is publishing, that they are within compliance to be released on any platform really, PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo systems as well. So yeah, that's essentially what I do. I'm involved with some projects and kind of see them throughout the different stages of development, and lead a team of testers as the game is I don't know, as it grows.
Yeah, okay.
So, I kind of have to keep it general because some of these things are unreleased, and there's unreleased and unannounced. Yes.
Everyone leaks stuff to me. I understand. Like, well, I know what's coming. I don't need to know. Nobody to tell me. That Mega Man X series is back. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, right. That's all I want to know.
They've been good about the whole shadow dropping games though. I mean, before I even worked there, their announcement for Resident Evil 7, I remember people did not know that was coming, and it was huge, and that was just last year. And that's another one that, I mean, it's October. We wanted to play some scary games, so we're gonna have to get those streams up and running. But yeah, I really do like my job a lot. It's been a really cool opportunity, and I'm excited. I'm excited for things that I've been working on, for that to become common knowledge, so I can stop being so secretive about it. It's fun to be involved in those types of projects, but it's also kind of tricky too, because it's I'm excited, I want to talk about it, but I can't because I want to keep my job because I like it.
I read this book right here. It's called Significant Zero by Walt Williams. I understand exactly what you're talking about. So he's the one of the writers for the new Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh.
So to read that and to understand what you're talking about, it's actually pretty cool. So it's just to understand.
Just to bring you up to speed, we were talking about Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Oh, so good.
We were talking about The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm. My favorite games of all time.
And we were talking about Red Dead Redemption.
Oh my gosh. Love those games.
He's like, oh shit.
Yeah. He's really?
Those are my games.
Really?
He's like, I missed that.
But yeah, maybe we should play Red Dead before the second one comes out, because I know
we got plenty of time.
Yeah.
What do you think of that trailer though, Brandon?
It's good. It was good.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I watched it a few times, because I wasn't quite sure who the main character was, where John Marston was, and it was just really, really interesting to see that world, and knowing that it's a prequel now, I think makes it more interesting. So,
no, like I said, I never got a chance to play the first one, so
so
I hear it's so good. I know the ending. It's okay.
The ending.
Yes,
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
I wish that the ending hadn't happened in that game.
I know, like when people tell me about it, I'm like, yeah, no, that shouldn't have happened in that game.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was a brutal ending. But I really enjoyed that game. It's unfortunate that it's not out on PC, because I feel like that's how I play a lot of my games nowadays is on PC. And having to go back to a PS3 or an Xbox 360 and play that game, it would feel like compromised. You know what I mean? Like it would feel like it wasn't living up to its potential. Like they wouldn't have to do anything to put it on PC. It would take like 5 minutes. They could just slap it on there and
I mean, like seriously, we got games like LA Noire coming out for the PS4. Why can't?
How hard?
Isn't LA Noire coming out for Switch too? I mean, like I feel like that's a more complicated port.
Oh my god, it's super frustrating, and like, yeah, the community's been like, this is totally beating a dead horse, but like the community's been begging for that game to come to PC for ages, but it's never gonna happen because Rockstar Games. They don't care about that at all.
They need to. Come on.
I know, right? They really should be, but they don't. So
I mean, like enough of this GTA shit, man. You like GTA? No, or you're just like
I do like GTA. Yeah, I like GTA. GTA 5 was really good. Didn't finish it, but it was really good. I finished GTA 3. Finished GTA 4. Finished Vice City. Didn't finish San Andreas. But I really enjoyed San Andreas. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the Grand Theft Auto games. Big fan.
Just so you know, I've never played a single one. So
they're really good. They're really good.
No, I've seen them played. I've seen the story. I love the story in GTA. I'm like, oh shit, this is great. Yeah. But then after a while, people just want to go around and just start shooting, get 5 stars, and I'm just like, I don't care for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that. I don't got time for this.
Like, just show me the game.
Let me get to the story.
Now, you said you're a Last of Us 2 fan. We might as well get his opinion because, like, he missed it. How do you feel when people call the Uncharted series or Naughty Dog in general just a movie franchise game?
I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. It's a very weird stance to have, because with a movie you sit down and you watch it. In a video game, it's interactive. Like you have to at least press one button for something to happen. So like that's where that distinction is. You know, it's not a spectrum. It's clear black and white. If you press a button and you do a thing, it is now a video game. Like, and it's also that whole like walking simulator thing that people like to bring up. Oh, it's not a real game. It's a walking simulator for games like Firewatch, and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture and stuff like that. Like, I think that's the dark side of the gaming community coming out and being like elitist and saying things like, oh, well, the Uncharted series is basically just a movie where you press a whole lot of buttons and have to kill a whole lot of guys and have to pick up a lot of things and do a lot of things. Oh, wait, it's actually a video game. You know, like it's poor reasoning. And I don't know why people would say those types of things. Like it's very good storytelling, which is why maybe they draw that comparison.
It's really good acting,
really good acting, really good storytelling.
Yeah.
So maybe they're
just confused.
They're not used to seeing that level, that quality of narrative and writing in a video game, that they think, oh, well, this has got to be a movie. It's like, I can't have good gameplay and good acting.
That's what I hope for, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I scoff at those people. I don't think that's a very good opinion to have. They're great games. So
yeah, they are. Like I was even telling Carl, like, look, regardless of what I said in my review, I love the Uncharted series whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Like The Lost Legacy, I will admit, it felt like it was just like a repackaging of DLC, which I don't understand.
Yeah,
but it was still good.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's good and not great, and like someone said, like, why'd you say that? I'm like, it's true, it's good. Like, it's not a bad game. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't say don't think it's great. It's not on Uncharted 2 or 3 level. So I just enjoy it. Play the game.
It's standalone. It's a standalone story. It's a standalone DLC title, just like they did with what was it, Left Behind?
Yep.
Last of Us Left Behind. So The Last of Us Left Behind was a standalone story. For those that don't know, after you beat Last of Us, you could play this standalone story for $30 or whatever it was back in the day. That centered around Ellie. You played as Ellie, the main character of that DLC, and you didn't need the main game to play it. You could just buy the DLC, just like with Lost Legacy. So I think that was like a lessons learned for Naughty Dog. They were like, oh, this actually sold pretty well. Maybe we don't need to make it an add-on title where you need to have Uncharted or you need to have Last of Us to play this story that we want to tell. Let's just make it a standalone title. And I think it worked out really well for them. So that might have confused a few people with Lost Legacy. They might have gone into it thinking like, oh, this isn't a $60 game. It's only $40, but I'm only getting this much content out of it. But at the same time, like you're also getting the entire Uncharted multiplayer with Lost Legacy. So like, I don't know. For people that are going to gripe about value in their game, it's like, sure, okay, you're paying $40 for a few hours of less content, but it's still a really, really good game. That was
I looked at the lore in that because it was like actually the first lore game of the Uncharted series, like where you step away from Nathan Drake and like look at the world. It was amazing to look at. I was like, oh shit,
really good.
It's a lot.
Just Chloe and Nadine's like their chemistry and their dialogue is so much fun. It's a lot of fun to play.
I was mentioning that, like, I didn't know what to expect at first. Like, I wasn't going into it, like, under the impression, like, well, it's just not going to be good because it's not Nathan Drake and Sully. So I'm already going into it with a negative attitude. I remember telling you, like, this is a cool opportunity for them to flesh out Chloe a bit more. Because I've always kind of just naturally not really liked her character. Because I always thought of her as, like, competition for Elena, and like
Elena's
the
Faye.
other woman, like
so love triangle,
Yeah. So it was cool. And like we didn't really get to know too much about Nadine up until this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like we knew she was like tough as nails, but like not much else.
That was it.
Yeah.
Now, is there any other games you guys would recommend? Because I will play them. Like that's the goal. Is like to look at games and see what you guys enjoy about them so much.
Oh man, you've already got so much on your plate.
Yeah.
I would feel guilty. I would feel guilty recommending it.
Yeah, let me just open up my backlog and
have you play some games. I think Journey, if you were to walk away from this playing one game, Journey would be one that wouldn't take much time, and I think as far as like impacting you, it has the potential to really reach out and touch you in a personal way, depending on how you play it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say Journey and maybe Metal Gear Solid if you've got 8 hours to blow.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
This one game, like it's not a long game. You get a lot of lore. It definitely holds up. All the dialogue is expertly voice acted. It's like really, really good.
It's so good.
It's really music's hilariously awesome.
Yeah. But
and
you could if you wanted to hold off. You could watch us play it on New Year's.
New Year's.
That shameless self-promotion. But I mean, honestly, if for whatever reason you can't get your hands on it or what have you, we plan on playing it again this year, and it'll be exciting because depending on because there are different endings for Metal Gear Solid, depending on which one you choose, and this will be our third year, so we've gone through and we've done both. It can impact the outfit that Snake wears in the third playthrough. So it will be that playthrough where Snake will be dressed a little differently.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. That sounds cool.
Dress for
you got dress for the occasion. Yeah. That's funny. Now, do you all have any questions for me?
Yeah, so you've been podcasting for some time now. It sounds like this was episode like 25 or
25, Barry Bonds episode.
Do you tend to have like guest stars on your podcast often and like?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, that's cool. So like it's normally you. How have you been reaching out to, because you were great at being a moderator today. So I was just curious, like, do you have plans to reach out to other Twitch broadcasters and that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, of course.
That's cool.
Yeah. So like the way it is like if it's like over the internet, then I gotta like be modest about like time zones and like, okay, this and that. Yeah. But like it was an in-person conversation, like, oh well, are you available this time? Sure. It's all based off whatever you guys want. You guys are more than welcome to come back on here anytime and just drop any kind of knowledge and talk about video games. That's what it's about. But like I feel like I can't. Video games are more about like interacting with players, and like that's what we did tonight. Just to be able to see like, oh, you play this game, well maybe you should try this game. And the more I review games in general, I see that. Because, like, I'm just one person, but, like, you guys are more, you get to see more. Don't let my view change it. But, like, I can tell that, based off this conversation, is that the three of us are in the same camp. We just got there differently.
Yeah.
Just took a little different time. And I like that. Like, you don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty well like, and like you said, like you guys have any other options for like any other people you think that might want to come on to do a podcast? Hey, they got shot. It doesn't matter.
Cool. For sure. Like I'm going to TwitchCon here soon, so
next week.
Yeah, I can ask around and see if people. I mean, like I don't know. We're just always excited to talk video games. So I mean,
yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I imagine that there are other people who would be happy to participate. Yeah, I think. Like I said, I was like, I think when you originally asked us, I was like, oh yeah, like. Well, sure. Like, just let us know when works. Because, I mean, we don't take ourselves super seriously. But, I mean, there are other streamers that have, like, community managers. And, like, it's definitely more of a, business inquiries kind of thing for some folks. But, I mean, yeah, for me, it's just like, yeah, I got time on Wednesday to talk about video games. No problem. So, yeah, that's really cool. What other games have you discussed? Like, is it your podcasting that you do the reviews typically, or are you thinking about branching to like other platforms for that? Because I know like YouTube right now is like really weird about game content. So.
Yeah. See, I can go ahead and tell you guys what the problem, not even problem, is that like when I first got started out with like reviewing games, it was like around the time like where all the games I played had already been reviewed. So, like, I did Nier, and then I waited until Lost Legacy. So, I've only done 2 reviews. So, it's like, okay. And now, so I look at the schedule, like someone said, look at the games that are coming out. You're going to be so far behind because of embargoes.
Yeah.
And all this nonsense. So, it's like, so what do you do in that time period? Like, because the next game I want to do is Mario, but you know how weird Nintendo is.
Oh, totally, yeah.
So it's like, what do I do during that time period? So what I decided to do is like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and play video games, just normal. Like, this is the perfect time to catch up on any video game that I've never played. That way I don't have a back catalog. And I did that. So now that we're about to hit Mario in about 2 weeks or so, it's like, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be fine. Like enjoy, because like AOI gaming, the AOI itself stands for a word of influence. I'd shortened that down last podcast because it was like a mouthful in my mouth. I could start to hear it, like a word of influence. I could just hear it, like okay. So I changed it to AOI gaming. It makes more sense. Yeah, that's what I want to gear towards. It still means the same thing. It's influential. I see that, and that's not going to change whatsoever. at all. But at first, it was more about like video games here and there, movies, music, things that might influence you. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to gear it towards gaming. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot more fun doing it since.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I think that makes sense, especially with the style of games that a lot of the ones that we discussed today, again, because they have those like rich narratives that they are particularly impactful. They're very feelsy, you know, like you really do experience them. You can on a personal level. I would say like Last of Us is a great example of that, because like, man, you feel
that
for those characters so much. There's a lot. There's high stakes. There's emotions. It's great. And Naughty Dog has gotten really good at that style of game. So yeah, I can understand. You've got an abundance of material now because there are so many games that are coming out that are, you know, on par with that. I would say Horizon Zero Dawn was also very much up there with that.
It's up there. It's on the list. It's up there. I can give you that much.
So,
I don't know where. It might be like number 2, maybe 3. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, Brandon. That Persona is up there somewhere.
Persona. I think once I finish, that's another thing I'm scared of. I'm scared of finishing Persona and have it be a bigger influence this year than Horizon was. And have Persona be my game of the year.
I'm surprised nobody says Mario Rabbids. So like, that's a great game. I was like, oh shit, this is pretty good.
Yeah, we haven't picked it up yet, but it's not because we're too good for it. Like, I know some people were like, "Oh, a Rabbids game, blah blah blah." As soon as they started showing footage of it, like I was on board, but we just didn't pick it up at launch time. We haven't gotten it since.
We got a lot of stuff going on.
It will probably hold its value, I imagine. So I can't imagine it'll be on sale anytime soon. So that'll be when we get to it, we get to it.
We'll definitely play it.
But yeah, I think
there's only like 5 games after the Switch, anyways. So like eventually we'll play it.
Yeah,
like you're true. Like Mario, then all of a sudden Xenoblade, you're like maybe. I might play it.
Yeah.
Man, Xenoblade is just like so involved. Like I'm intimidated by Xenoblade. Like I won't do it. Not for me.
I play the most intimidating game in The Witcher, and it's like, okay, looking at that shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Now, where can we find you guys at?
I'm on Twitter. I'm at Carly on the Moon, and I'm also on Twitch. Carly on the Moon. That's me.
I am also on Twitch. Carly on the Moon on her channel. My name on Twitch is Brandon_USCG, and I think on Twitter I
think it's the same.
Also Brandon_USCG. I'm pretty sure that's right, at Brandon_USCG.
Well, if you see me on Twitch, you know it's Engulfed1424. So
there you go.
But this is actually a exclusive. After this, I will be subscribing to you guys. So.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, you guys deserve it.
We'll absolutely give you a shout out, and feel free to. I mean, if you are a subscriber, you can post links without permission. So if you want to, you can just say like, "Hey, here's where you can download the podcast that Carly and Brandon we were gabbing it up like all night." So
yeah, all night, and this has been episode 25 of A-Boy Gaming. We're back at them, guys. Q4 is here of gaming. These two know it. They're going to be enjoying a lot of good video games. I am. And you can find me on Twitter at Agent Platypus 23. I might have to change my Twitch name to that too. I don't know.
It's good to have parody.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can find this on iTunes and YouTube and any of your podcast directories. If you like the show, please leave a review. It really does help out. Keeps the mics on. And that's it, guys. Until next time. See y'all.
Bye.